zambia@gmail.com. See you there.
Democracy and freedom of expression is about tolerating the views that you don't like from someone you might not like. This is the burning issue on the happy world of 5FM Radio, bringing you hot, smoldering topics on a weekly basis. Your participation is important.
A very good morning to you all listening into this particular broadcast is the burning issue. And it is the Thursday edition here on the Happy World of 5FM Radio. We are also live on other partner radio stations. We are live on Tuta FM Radio in Mansa, covering Rapula Province. Thank you very much. And that's on 90.7 FM. And we are also live on Spice FM in Kabwe. That is on 91.1, covering Central Province. Muchinga Province is well catered for because we are live also on 88.1, that is in Chinsali. Also live on the Kope Belt. We are live on iWave FM Radio, and that is on 90.1 FM. Remember that we are also live here in Lusaka on 89.9, and Southern Province is well catered for as well. We are live on Wave FM Radio, and that is on 98.7. Live also on our Facebook page, and also you can look out for UPND page as well as the UPND Youth page. And remember, our YouTube channel as well is 5FM Zambia. All right, so today we will be discussing more also around the youth. We did so also, earlier, rather we did so last week. We did host the National Youth Chairperson. But today we have the UPND National Youth Information and Publicity Secretary in Francis Kope. It's a pleasure to have you, and welcome to this program.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here. It's first time I'm being hosted here on 5FM.
Indeed.
Your number one adult contemporary radio.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we are grateful.
Humble.
And we are grateful that you responded to our call. First things first, I would like to, for the sake of our listeners, want to find out who Francis Kope is. And if you can also take us through your political journey. When did you think of politics? So that they understand who they are talking to.
Well, a journalist.
Is who you are?
Yes.
Okay. That's your profession.
I'm a media personnel.
Okay.
Journalist. Started my trade as a technician and things.
Yeah.
And then went into newsroom and practiced journalism. Worked for Channel Central TV,
yeah.
And CBC Television as head of programs,
right.
Head of technical, corrections and things like that, as well as my last post was assignment editor.
Okay,
that's when I went into politics. Obviously, well, based on the number.
When was it?
2018.
2018.
Yes,
is when you decided to go to politics.
Yeah, 2017, 2018. 2017, I had some aspiration, to one day contest in Mansa. It had a very strong candidate at that particular time.
Yes. And you wanted to be a member of parliament.
Yes.
For Mansa.
Yes, because I felt people were being derived of a lot of things.
Yeah. Under which party at this
politics,
point?
At that particular time, I didn't even have.
You were independent?
Yes, I was just a journalist, and in the tour of duty, I noticed a lot of things, and I was like, one day I'll just come and contest in this particular, constituency.
Yes,
things.
yes.
Because I saw the strength of the member of parliament at that particular time.
Yeah.
Well known, and could hip a lot of people, whatever a number would be there. It would just say Tantamen,
yes,
and start giving them.
Yes,
there's my 5 kwacha, 50 kwacha, everyone and things like that. I was like, okay, now I think we're missing a lot. If all the problems of people can just be sorted out by just Tantamen, just one tantamen kind of arrangement whenever this man appears or a member of parliament appears. I think I can do better because I started thinking of how can we empower these people permanently? How can we bring services closer to them and things? And then I started talking to them. I did a number of people that I was engaging with, and we did small business plans and empowered a few. About 100 or 120 first, and then the next time I wanted to go there, I found a multitude of people. Just when I was elected as president for International Media Association for Peace. So it also exposed me interaction with members of parliament, with in different areas,
right?
Traveling and things like that. And then somebody offered me a job initially, a job in a political party.
Oh, okay. Would you like to mention?
To handle media and things, and one thing led to the other.
Would you like to mention which political party that was?
I was appointed as the spokesperson, then a candidate, for Chilanga by-election in 2018, and things just went so fast, and then before 2018 could be closed, I left. And went
you left
back
the party.
The party, yes, and then went.
Would you like to mention that party?
Yes, it was UPPZ.
UPPZ.
Yes.
Okay.
So, because it was a job, obviously.
Yes.
So we did what we could and things like that, and then afterwards.
When you say it was a job,
I was employed, obviously, from the media to handle the media for the party.
Yeah, but when you became a candidate, when you went into a candidate, it was no longer a job, was it?
Of course, I was asked if I could stand, and then since I had some aspiration to contest at some point and things like that, I did it. In an area that I was not known as much and things. Went into it. Chilanga came out third. I think there was a number of 4 candidates. One from NAREP, myself, and UPND and the PF.
Yeah.
Yes, came out third. And that's how there was some kind of turning point and things like that.
Yeah. There's this belief that for you to be an accepted candidate in a particular constituency, you must have held from there.
I never held from Chilanga, unfortunately.
And Kasama, or rather Mansa?
Oh, Mansa is where.
That's where you come from.
Yes,
that's home.
Yes, it's in Matanda.
Yeah.
Marble. That's where my roots are.
Yeah.
So, and the number of headmen and chiefs, they are my either uncles or distant on my mother's side. On my father's side, that is on his mother's side.
And Mansa is listeing today.
Of course,
obviously, at some point you will need to interact with them.
Not that I want, not that I still want to contest. But that was my first, because I thought people could benefit more than Tantameni at that particular time.
Right.
And I think the aspirations that I had at that particular time, these are some of the issues that the UPND government is sorting out, bringing a number of services closer to the people, bringing in meaningful empowerment to the youths, women, and the elderly, and not looking at what political party or what color you are or what, but looking at you as a Zambian and how can you access a number of amenities and facilities, be it health facilities, education. Today there's free education. I think everyone who has a child in Mansa or in Chembe or in Kawambwa and things, they know that they can go to sleep with a peace of mind, knowing that their child will complete up to grade 12 and be empowered, with a skill, and perhaps find some employment somewhere or create a business. So these were some of the things that I was looking at that particular time. How can we have a situation where we are not just looking up to one individual to sort out my problems of everyone? Like, okay, today tamkwetea what yamnani, okay, tantameni hapa, and then I'll give you 20 kwacha, then sometimes, okay, I'm coming from the airport, mutantame mrodi, I'll give you 4 kwacha and things like, because those are things that would happen. They'll be given some money, and then they'll share maybe 4 kwacha, sometimes 100 kwacha, sometimes it depends, and things, and it was it became a culture that I say honorable at least walariamo. So even when you are talking to them, some will be shouting tuliemo and things like that. But the conversation that we started having, it was a different type of conversation. I remember after 2 or 3 months of conversation, the 5th month of some conversation, I talked to them. I asked them what they would like to do. Okay, in groups of 10s. Others will say, we had no slippers, we had rice, so I just went into, and then we took those things, 4 bells of Salaula for 4 groups, to Sapato and rice, Iftenge and things like that. And then we said, okay, support each other. Okay, so since your groups, each group has a different type of business, support each other. And then once you are empowered, you can also empower, the next group and things. I thought that was a better empowerment as opposed to telling people tantame na pampere ndarama and then chapwira popen. I think so. These are some of the things that the UPND government is now dealing with. Changing the mindset of the youths, of the women out there, reminding us that we can do more than just waiting on one individual to give us money. Art is time of convenience comes and okay, I'm the what, and so support and things, and here is money and here's food. So I think it's a mindset shift, kind of generation that we're getting into, a generation that we need to now generate resources and create wealthy as opposed to creating dependency.
Now let's talk about your position. Yours is National Youth Information and Publicity Secretary. Can you describe to us what this job is about?
Well, I'm a secretary in this under the National Youth Executive.
Right.
Obviously, we have Chairman Niswaniso, his deputies, Chikota, and who is the council chairperson for Mwense, and Trevor Mwinde, and Cindy Kauka. Then we also have Mr. Ngwira, who is the SG overall for the youths, and then the information and publicity, obviously, whatever information that comes, how to disseminate it to the people, all the structures and things like that.
Yeah.
So it's generating information, and whatever information that comes, you disseminate it.
Yeah. Now, let's generalize the situation. In Zambia, from time immemorial, have always been seen as the future leaders, and achieved some of these things by way of the can now see numbers of youths in parliament, right? But also there are question marks because some youths that have been entrusted with leadership have not lived up to the expectation. And what they've ended up doing is things that are disgraceful. And we hear today that, look, how do we really entrust leadership in the youth when some of the youths, what they are displaying in public, are not befitting of any of being classified as leaders? Do you find it right that truly we need to have a lot of youths in leadership in government today? Do we have characters that can live up to expectations?
Okay, let's break down what you're talking about here. First of all,
Yeah.
you first started with youths being future leaders.
Yeah.
And being a leader, it's not only sitting in parliament, okay, or being a chairperson. I think being a leader is realizing that first of all, we are this drive force the energy that is needed to propel a number of sectors, be it economic sectors or social sectors, innovation in education-wise, and especially in the area of innovation, because even when there is a crisis or a problem or a situation, a population, a country needs to depend on a particular group to you or to exert a particular energy so that we can deal with certain things. So being future leaders is not only being in parliament, it's not and you've quite brought it perfectly well said indeed, that some of the leaders, especially those that are in parliament or those that are holding a position of power, they are not living up to the expectations. But I'll tell you that first of all, before we even talk about parliament or leadership in such, I think youths should be leaders in terms of innovation also. When there is a situation, for example, we are facing drought situation, okay, what are some of the innovative discovery that we have made as youths? Because you cannot wait for those that are in the afternoons of their lives to start bringing solutions toward a number of issues that we may be dealing with, be it globally as well as issues to do with climate change and things. It's youths to be innovative, to have a mind to invent, to create value, and to create something that people can buy or buy into, so as to solve a particular problem. You realize that most of the countries that are doing well today, it is because at some point, those that were big people at some point, they were youths who had a keen mind to discover or solve a particular problem. If you're not solving a problem, if you're complaining and talking about a problem, you not benefit out of the situation. Out of the chaos, out of the challenges comes wealth. We can create wealth. Today, we are talking about cutting down of trees is making us our environment unsafe, and the issue of climate change and things like that. What innovation have we put in place as youths, as young people, as those that have the potential? Because remember, potential is energy that is not yet used, but it's there. It's potential, and it can stay there for a long time. And if you don't harness it, it will just be potential, and then because we are youths up to a particular age. Looking at you, you might not even be a youth. You're not below 35. Okay, so how have we spent these particular energetic, innovative, with a keen mind time that we had towards being the solutions to the many problems? I was at a panel with some colleagues on ZNBC before the Youth Day that we celebrated this year. And there were these youths that could elaborate, express themselves very well, but they were just talking about problems. None would say, okay, I saw a solution. Yes, there's this solution that we can do. We can create energy. We can create, because today, even when we somebody was telling me about Mansa batteries and what and all those things, and so I was like, okay, so if you think that it's profitable, why can't you open such kind of a business, or talk to others and open such businesses that you think you can create a lot of money, as opposed to just talk about it. Talk is we can talk about anything. We can talk about having a modern city and things. It's just talk, but are we making steps toward achieving that? So the leadership that is expected among the youths, it's not just about being in parliament and say, yeah, or propagating propaganda or tribalism and division and things like that. Because I'm a member of parliament, I can speak like this and no one will touch me. And if they touch me, all eyes will be on me. And, they'll be on Zambia and saying that, no, you are persecuting or prosecuting, members of parliament and things like that. It's not just about that. It's about what are we seeing. South Korea was developed because the energy that was in that population was exerted on agriculture, mechanization, and industrialization and things like that. So there was huge, there was potential first, and then they, converted that potential into practical work. And if you see some of the videos, people were working for less for the good of, improving their tomorrow, for the good of their, the future. Today, you have people who are frowning upon education, and they are even trivializing the free education. It is nothing, after all, unga, it is so much, and all those things. It's better nakuta than naenda ku school. We have such kind of, a population, and some of those that are aspiring to be leaders or presidents and things like that, they are busy on the same discourse, saying that education is not important, free education is not important, it is better. Wangurira Sakayaunga. I'm telling you one thing, it is possible for government to say that, okay, instead of subsidizing, education, tizambo kupasa ndrama zanemeni ya kulipira bana wanu kuma school, because government is paying. Okay, so if every parent was given that money, I'm telling you the truth, some of them would not take their children to school. They would rather say, it's better tisotingeko kaso, or in fact tisoti asila and things like that, because we will always have problems, we always have excuse. So even as young people, we have a lot to talk about. We have got a lot of excuses to give and say that even to CV and Abuino, but there is also a lot that we can do in terms of harnessing what we term as potential within us, individually or collectively, as groupings, as whether it's cooperatives or companies and societies and things like that. We can still, so leadership, it's not only about, it's also being a leader in the digital transformation, being a leader in terms of financial inclusion. What are some of the ways and means, and we can discover how we can interact in terms of not leaving out those that are in far-flung areas. I was in Liua with the Minister of Finance just a few days ago. We spent some days down there where, places where there was no network, places where last year or the other year when we went there was totally no communication, but today there are network towers and things like that, and all those things. And now people are accessing, whether it's my Airtel Money and the, all these, services and things. But how can I also solve a particular problem? Identify a problem. How can I be a solution to this? Because when you are being a solution to a problem, you are also making money. Here is water, which you have what? You have paid for. Okay? Sembeta mwamanzi ya kupompi. Kuenda na kakapu, but you have just sorted it out by saying, instead you enda na kakapu kupompi, takwikira ni manzi mkakopo, and then mzamba kugula, or napena mchichiteni, whatever plastic, how they call it, is it drip? Yes, you see? So even the one who, so the issue is that, yes, the youths, as youths, we need to identify ourselves. We need to, ensure that we secure our position. We fight for what we want to achieve. We need to be part of, leadership and making decision of this particular country. We are not the future leaders. No, we are leaders of today. And because if we look at Zachariah Banda, when they were given such responsibilities and that and things like that, they were very young. We need to participate in decision making of this country, but also because we cannot all be, MPs and things. We only need, 150. 156 members of parliament per time. So, and we are, is it 7 million or 8 million as youths and things like that. So we also need to ensure that we harness our potential in whatever form, whether it is in politics, in agriculture, in engineering, in innovation, is it in even journalism and things like that. Let us harness our full potential to and ensure that we use this energy to the fullest, so that we can transform our environment. Because if we're transforming our homes, our environment, we are also transforming our country.
Yeah. Also, much as the youth have the potential to innovate and of course become some of them self-employed or entrepreneurs, there are so many youths today who are registering companies, and they're ambitious. But the challenge is that the government takes away a lot from them before they start in terms of registration fees. You're talking of so many licenses that they need to pay for, and so on and so forth. And this has been a huge complaint, to say, much as we are ambitious, the problem is the government takes away a lot from us. We have to pay taxes from day one. Why can't we be given tax incentives? For example, at least a company, when it's registered, at least automatically it should have at least a period of 5 years probably exempted from tax, so that they settle down and they establish themselves, and thereafter they will have no excuse for not paying tax. And these have been complaints, and these have really I know that these are things that have reached His Excellency the President, and I think he's spoken about how we have cumbersome procedures in as far as company registration and all is concerned. This leaves to me to ask a question: what is the youth agenda of the UPND government?
Okay, interesting. For sure, the issue of once you register a company, you need a lot of licenses. Starting from trading license. Of course, you register a company at PACRA. You need to register it with also council, ZRA, ZPPA, for you to have a little bit of to be qualified to bid for any
government
tender
projects. Yes.
You also need to to register for NAPSA. It's very essential at the moment that you register for NAPSA. If you are not on NAPSA, you might not have any business. Sometimes you also need to register with workers' compensation, NCC, different grades, whether it's E, C,
all these cost money.
You also need to register with AIZ, and the list is endless sometimes. It depends with what you want to do. And but I might also want to quickly mention the issue of exemption, especially when it comes to payments and things. NAPSA, I think there is a provision that you can write a letter from the outset. You write a letter that this particular company is based on a contract. If we have like a contract to build something, that's when we can have money, or that's when we can employ. So we want to be registered with you, but we do not have business at the moment. So if you write to them and there's that you're submitting your returns, whether it's new return, I think it's understandable. So is ZRA. So if we say that there is a lot and you'll be taxed from day one, I think it is the abrogation that leads to taxing. Okay, so we need to also sensitize youths that there is a way that you can interact with these companies and organizations. There's a way you can interact with these with ZRA, NAPSA, and workers' compensation, and NEMA, and things like that, because you also need to register with NEMA and things.
So it's workers' compensation now. It's getting the list is becoming huge, long.
So the point is that I had to also list all of them, but or most of them, but also a reminder that you can still interact even when you do not have businesses. The challenge comes in when you've been there for a year and you never had any business, and you still need to renew these certificates, because next year they will not be valid again. So it's really a challenge. But I've heard His Excellency the President Hakainde Hichilema has from time to time need to ensure that the ease of doing business favors the locals, the youths, and those that the local investors especially, as well as obviously the foreign investors, because obviously we also need foreign direct investment and things. So I think it's something that the president and his administration, they've been talking about, and not just talking about, and also trying to see how best we can resolve some of these issues. That's why we have seen some kind of a window, whether it's through Zachariah, to do some amnesty. Even NAPSA also had some form of amnesty, and see how we can reconcile the books and things like, because sometimes other employers, they don't just want to remit, because it's not in our culture sometimes to just take a little bit of whatever you're making back to government. But sometimes it's just that you don't have business, so you need to prove that you don't have business, and have that honest interaction with these institutions. So hence these amnesties that we have seen time and again from all these institutions that are charged with the responsibility to collect something out of these companies. But above all, companies are formed to provide a service or sell a product. Okay, and there are others that prospers, and others that do not progress, depending on the modalities and how you put your house together. Some who just register and do not even having an office, and they'll still be having business, and then and things like that. Well, others can have a very good primacy and things like that. So it is how we now begin to package ourselves. I think we've been lacking in terms of packaging and how we present ourselves, the front office arrangement, where how organized, and how we put up your business plans and things like that. Because interaction mostly with some of these institutions is not a personal interaction, especially with a system that has come on board, the EGP, which is somehow a pain to some of us, because we don't understand much of this, especially the youths. We don't understand it. But this is aimed at reducing as much as possible human interface, because if you put a bid or a tender on EGP, even as it is closing, you know who has done what, who has quoted how much, and things like that. So yes, there are a number of duplicated licenses that needs to be dealt with, and our agenda as the youths is to ensure that first of all, as the youths, we have our share. I think the Minister of Youth is doing fine in terms of empowerment and making such avenues to ensure that more youths participate in terms of business. The Minister of Small Business and is also doing everything possible.
That's another ministry that people feel it's not available for entrepreneurs, for small business enterprises. This ministry is not available, and there's been these complaints most of the times. I mean, these complaints come from youths, and as information and publicity secretary, obviously it's your baby to ensure that you communicate complaints of the youths to intended sectors like the Ministry of Small and Medium.
We had a very fruitful conversation with the Minister of SME and the PS. She's doing wonders. She's doing great from the times that she went into to that particular ministry, Madam Siveta. She's doing great. We had a conversation, and because we've seen that obviously there are a number of people that have been empowered, a lot of people that have been empowered, and some have applied and have not been empowered. I've also applied and they have not been empowered, and but it's not about me. It's about a lot of youths that we interact with. That might not have qualified and things. I also had a conversation, short conversation with Mr. Mungole, and asked, there are people that don't, know how to put down a very good proposal when they see application or invitation for such application for loan, comes up. The people that don't know how to pen down good English for you to read and, feel as if, okay, we're as of Minachita, but they know their calculation, they know their math. And then he was very blunt and said, no, it's not about the good English. It's about the math tarring. Is it tarring what you want to get and what you're doing at the moment, and how the modalities of you paying this particular, the time frame and things like that. So it's not necessarily about English. It's about a good proposal, and a good proposal is based on how viable and practical this is. Okay, and now when we had a conversation with the minister and the PS, obviously on behalf of the people, with the National Youth Chairman, Gilbert Risoniso there, the minister showed interest in ensuring that people, more youths are empowered, and of course that sometimes I don't know if you've visited that portal, the same for CEC loans.
Yes,
it will even show you how many have applied. The thousands, and sometimes I remember when I was trying to do an application, I was like, a number of am I going to be to be picked and things, because that even when there are such opportunities, there is a number that will be picked. There are some whether it's technical and things like that, but we were talking about on issues of Chizungu, Asokoni, things like that. Do you have a human interface where you interact with this? I said, no. We oftenly call most of those that have applied, and those that have not, successfully been picked. They are oftenly contacted. Just say, oh no, your application was not picked. Now, we also realized that perhaps this particular ministry needs even more funding, because we are many youths who are on the line. We are a lot who are on the line. So it was also our appeal that we spoke to the minister that, please, can you see that there is even more fund so that it can cater for more. We went ahead because we talked about the agenda for, what was the agenda for the youths in terms of, we also went ahead when we had an interaction with the minister and said, bringing out some of the challenges of the youth and things, and calling upon if there are any funds to also ensure that such ministries, Ministry of Youth, Ministry of SME, they are funded so that as many youths can benefit out of it. But also, we are also putting up something. We want a situation. You used to hear that when they're bigger contract, we want 20% to go to the Zambians and things like that. But for us, we are saying that we want a good percentage to go to the youths, at least 30% to go to the youths, and not just to be blanketed in a 20%, and where there's everyone and things, because there are those that have been in the game for a long time, those that have been doing business for a long time and things and that. So we want to have a situation where we have a particular portion or a share that we're assured of that it is going to every Zambian youth. So these are some of the things that we are pushing in terms of ensuring that the youths are also part of these incentives. But that it's not just about SME and Ministry of Youths. CF, bigger or larger component of is also empowering youths in different aspects. The free education, the millions that are on free education, they are under the youth group. The thousands that are partaking to skills development, those are also youths. Those that are getting into sponsorship, boarding and things like that, they are youths. So we can talk about skills development and free education and all those things, including apart from skills development, the other component of the youth, I mean the CDF, is maybe it's making desks, building a clinic or a hospital, doing a road and things like that. The people that do some of these works are mainly the youths. So there are a number of avenues that the youths can benefit out of this particular government, and our agenda is to ensure that youths identify these opportunities within their localities. When we were in Liua, we went to a number of communities. Okay, in wards there are communities, there are polling stations or schools and things like that. Almost in every community there was a project under CDF. Okay, now if we just roughly talk about these communities and identify them as whether it's a polling station and things like that, you realize that we have more than 20,000 polling stations with 1,244 wards. So out of the 1,244 wards, if in every ward there is a project, then we'll be talking about 12,000 project. And if in every ward of where there is a project in in different for example, in each ward there are 4 projects or 5 projects, then we'll be talking about plus half or doubling that particular number. So we'll be talking about 24,000 projects. And such 24,000 projects, if we say that 5 people are involved in a particular project, okay, just 5 people, then we are talking about 100,000 that have been informally employed under the component of the CDF. It's not enough. We can even do more. Okay, we can do more. We can do more with this particular CDF. And just roughly, if 100,000 are directly employed under projects, just on one component, not talking about whether it's desks and programs and things like that, then we know that out of the 100,000, these are representing families of maybe 2, 3, 4, and or 5. Then we're talking about 500,000 being indirectly benefiting out of a particular component of the CDF. So these are some of the opportunities that we need now to inform or talk to our youths to identify some of these components of CDF that they can benefit from, especially when we're having when we're passing through such times such as drought and things like that, where scarcity and all those things. So we need to at least be involved in a number of projects. Talking of our agenda once again, the issue is that we want to have a situation where the modalities of doing these particular projects are not cumbersome, and these projects are not given to one individual, 5, 6 projects. We need to see to it that they are spread, and perhaps even the period of committing such tendering for such project should not be too much. It shouldn't be 6 months and even 1 year over one. You're talking about one issue. It has to be as quick as possible so that you get done with the other, then you get to the other one, so that more people are benefiting, because people are not just benefiting by doing that particular job, but they're benefiting through the improved communities and societies that we're having. Like we would say that today here in the city, such numbers sometimes might not be seen as much, but if you go in the outskirts, you realize that these are places that people were learning in an unsafe environment, sitting on the floor, or there could be maybe 20, 50 desks in a very big school. They're sitting 5 on a desk, but today such facilities have been delivered to the people. So we need the youths to be at the center of this. Ministry of SME, local government, ministry, there is a share for the youths. Ministry of Youths, obviously, it's talking about the youths in different aspects. But we also want to thank a number of ministries, including Ministry of Defense, Ministry of Home Affairs, because most of those that have been employed under Ministry of whether it's Defense, Home Affairs, and local government and things, Ministry of Health, Ministry of Education, mostly are youths. So there is a lot for the youths, those that went to school to get employed, and those that have gone to school to empower themselves or to create wealth and to create employment. There's a lot, because government, your president is saying that is creating an environment, an enabling environment for you to thrive. The agenda for the youths is to ensure that we participate fully in these programs and take charge of such programs, because the energy to do these projects and programs is among the youths.
Francis Kope is our guest. He is the UPND National Youth Information and Publicity Secretary on today's Thursday edition of the Burning Issue. Now, I'll get right into the youth and how they are conducting politics, right? They say you know the fruits by its tree, you know what I mean? And what we have come to learn, even as a media house, is that His Excellency the President, even in his time in opposition, he never did politics of hate speech, politics of insults. It is therefore disappointing to see that his children instead are participating in politics of insults and politics of hate speech, which is quite disappointing. And I'm expecting to see a situation where any other youth decides to go live and decides to talk politics, they must obviously be checked before they do that, because then it taints the name and image of the president. And this is the reason why today we're having debates of saying this government is impartial in the manner that it's handling some of these cases to do with hate speech, for example. So on the other hand, and I know so many people are bringing out UPND youths in Northwestern Province, for example. They had a press briefing and talked about how they will circumcise the former head of state. And I don't think this is the language that the head of state, His Excellency Hakainde Hichilema, would be comfortable with, would even dare utter himself on anyone. How is it that we have continued to see the politics that we condemned, especially among the youths, being used as political tools, tools of violence, has continued under this government?
It is sad that a few youths would fail to express themselves correctly and use words that they might not even understand sometimes. Sometimes it's failure to express oneself that people might use certain words. It is very uncalled for. It is wrong for them to use insulting language on the elderly. We've seen that there was a trend. I saw a few videos, some last year, early this year, and things where somebody would just get on Facebook and they just start insulting, continuously insulting and things. Some of them are in the diaspora. So because they're in the diaspora, they think that they can just insult anyone, the president and things like that, leaders. Others are within, and they even went to an extent of wanting to prove that they are not okay in their minds and their patience. The issue of Northwestern Province, it is very regrettable to hear that a place where youths are supposed to be productive. I think Honorable Minister Kavusu has done a lot in terms of putting incentives for the youths under the Ministry of Mines, and ensuring that the cadastre operates in a different manner that would bring in a youthful face to the mining sector, accommodating youths and all those, making it simple for one, or easier, not necessarily easier for one to access whether it's a mining license or an artisanal license and things like that. So and northwestern provinces, the new copper belt, I think youths should be busy there with all these projects that were opened by President Hakainde Hichilema, new investors coming in every day and things. We don't expect youths to conduct themselves in a manner that is disrespectful.
Have they been
to
disciplined?
the elders? I think there is a process and procedure of discipline, which is also ongoing, and there is a way such issues are being handled at a provincial level, district, is it constituency, or perhaps
why would it take the political procedure for hate speech when others are being arrested straight on?
No, the issue is that I'm not talking for the police. I'm talking about
and that's the question. And that's the question that Zambians are saying: how come others do not wait for political party structures to discipline them?
Mm-hmm.
The rule of law takes charge or course immediately.
Mm-hmm.
But for the UPND youths with hate speech, we have to hear there's a political party procedure to discipline them. So what happens to the law that governs hate speech?
It has to be followed. So let me quickly get to some example. I saw something, some pages, political party, opposition political party, pages wrote something that, this and that is next. There was a call that was received from one of the cadres and things, or members of the UPND and things. So unfortunately, one of the journalists, sent me, or I saw it on our status, what this particular cadre was saying in a phone call conversation. When I listened to it, I realized that there is a lot that we need to do. Okay, in terms of publicity and media arrangement, because what I saw being propagated on, in fact, it was on a PF page. And when I heard the conversation between this particular UPND supporter and a particular member of parliament, the conversation was totally different. It was this man telling this, should stop such kind of politics. Those kind of called for, because one day your daughter might marry my son, or my son might marry your daughter, and things like that, and all those things. But what went on this particular page was totally different. I realized that, okay, we need to be careful, because we are dealing with an opposition that is sophisticated in terms of creating face and bringing out a certain exaggeration
propaganda
on information.
That's what you are saying.
Perhaps hoaxes, and they might quote anyone, and just as long as you said something that might be closer to anything, then it will go viral, as this person said this and that, without the audio itself. Okay, so when I heard the audio, I said maybe people needed to listen to this audio. But anyway, we don't want to give life to some discourse when they are important issues that are happening in the country. For example, we have to deal with the drought. We have to deal with the hunger situation. We have to deal with the unemployment lewels that UPND has done much, but there is more that it can do. You saw that the dewatering of the Shaft 28 was practically commissioned, and the pumps were started, and there's a lot of developments that have been being seen in a number of spheres, economically and politically. There's a lot that is happening, and there is a lot that will come out One, if you listen to some of the posting, for example, I listened to the former president talking in a church where he said he's going to be provoking. He's going to make sure that he does whatever he does so that he receives the particular reaction. You realize that the issue, the idea, the script that the opposition have is that they will continue provoking. They will continue with the propaganda. They will continue sometimes even abducting each other. Okay, so that you can now shift your conversations to now start talking about this non-issue and nobody who has become a somebody just by chance and things like that. So you forget about the $800 million that you have as in Congole, or that was left as in Congole in the fuel arrangement system under the oil marketing companies. You forget the millions of dollars that are being owed by Zambia to a shipping company that gave us electricity at a time when there was a drought which was not as worse as it is. So if this particular government wants to go back and say, okay, can we buy a little bit of power so that we can sustain this and that? You can't go back there because there is a hole. You need first to pay that in Congole. If you need to subsidize the fuel at this particular time, you can't, because there's 800 million. You have to start first of all by dealing with the 800 million. If you need to do with it, whether it's UNGA and things like that, you need the intervention of ZS, because when they were leaving, they left in Congole to farmers of more than 280,000 farmers were being owed, by government for the maize that they supply. So every sector that you look at, we, as UPND government, started from negative 800 million, negative 90 million in electricity, negative 1 billion, negative 18 billion US dollars. So every sector that you're talking about. Now, we might not want to hear that, because if you talk about people, we are starting this president. I think this is because he's a president that has come in at a when we are muchimugo digitali in every sector, all the sectors, and yet the conversation will be vanamuchita bwanji vamumanga ndava ni opposition and things like that. Come on, it's not about an opposition, it's about the rule of law. You promise people the rule of law, let everyone follow the law. And if a UPND member is found in a compromising situation where is involved in whether it's illegalities and things, you have heard, Zach, that a deputy national youth chairman was arrested. The whole entire structure in Wapula was arrested because of what? Illegality. This is not a regime or a president or a government that tolerates illegality. This is a president who says, if there is an illegality, let's follow the law. And it doesn't matter who or what you are. That was never heard of. A leader, Wachipani, Ichpani, Kudara, just a few years ago, when there was a Kamgodi here, Pafupi Chabia, where if you are suspected to be UPND, you will be beaten, tortured, deliberately, and visibly people will see that you have been beaten, you have been taught a lesson. People were tear gassed in their private parts and things like that. You know that. You know all these stories. So we are trying to deliberately, because we have an opposition that is very careful to not to be seen as vanaononga, just like what they did when they entered, forcing into the house of President Hakainde. What did they do? Pama blankets, pama bed, and things like that. And that is what they did even in government. And you have to clean first. And it takes time. Kulikuwa kwinangwa kwa tukambokiri na manjamba kununga futi. It takes time and things like that. And now the economy is on track. And today somebody can say, but dollar. Mnaipeza pa 2022 or 24. Today, yakwelako. But I'll also tell you that obviously, yes, yakwela, because we are not producing much. We're not producing as much as we're supposed to be producing in terms of balancing up. But in the 2 years that UPND has been in government, compared to the best of the PF, dollar in the first 2 years doubled under the PF. You know that. The fuel prices doubled. But obviously, one would say, tikamba palilero. You cannot